um, all of Redlands, all the Mexicans that settled in Redlands,
Mhm.
all the Mexicans settled in East Highland, all the Mexicans that settled in almost any part of Southern California were attracted there because of the citrus industry.
Yes, uh-huh.
That they could get a job easily, and then, like did you work all year?
Yes.
You work all year round?
Yeah, it would stop in October,
Okay,
and then they would send us up north.
okay,
My uncle and my aunt went up north with
okay.
his.
So you were, for how long did you go up north?
We would go every season, after every season.
But what months?
See, we would go in November and December. And then January, I think the crop started around January, about 3 months every year.
Okay, so in the area here in the Inland Empire, we were picking from January till
Mhm.
October.
Yeah, mhm,
So it was almost year round.
yeah.
So
mhm,
people that were orange pickers
mhm.
had a job almost for 10 months.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
10
that's
months.
true.
So they could support a family then.
Oh, yeah. mhm.
They could support a family. And besides your uncle, were there any other contractors in Colton?
No, mostly they
Juan
were.
Colunga? Don Juan Colunga that lived close to your house?
I know who you mean, but I
Yeah.
don't think so.
Yeah, the Juan Colunga was also a contractor.
Oh, really? He
Yeah.
could have been for another packing house.
Right, right.
mhm.
So there were several packing
Mhm.
houses in the area,
There were 12.
12 packing houses,
mhm,
and each of them would hire their contractors
mhm, Yes,
to go out and harvest the crop
Mhm.
for the different ranchers.
yes.
Yeah,
mhm.
it was a big industry.
I wanted
Yes,
to
it was.
ask, did you say that there was an office in Colton for a while and then it shut down, or maybe I misunderstood?
No, the labor camp shut down and they put our office in Redlands.
Okay, what was the labor camp? I'm not sure what that is.
That's where all the pickers were housed that were coming from Mexico. They
Oh.
housed them there.
Oh,
They had their doctor, they had food, they had, this man, Rafael, he used to make money orders for them to send home.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
Gloria, was this part of the Bracero program?
yes. mhm.
So I guess Henry started in the 42,
Okay.
1942, and ended in
Mhm.
64. But did we have a lot of pickers from Mexico?
Yeah, we did.
Mhm. So they finally became the majority part of people that would pick the oranges?
Yes. mhm.
Okay. And you mentioned that the association would provide housing for them,
Mhm.
would provide housing for them.
Yes, the
Yeah.
labor camp.
At the labor,
Uh-huh.
they would have a camp. In the camp, they would have housing.
mhm.
And what other services did they provide for them?
The food, their medical.
Did they cook for them?
Oh, yes, they had a cook that.
They had a
would
cook for
Yeah,
them?
uh-huh, yeah.
Are they providing medical services
Yes,
for them?
uh-huh.
Yeah. Now, in reading about the harvest industries in Southern California, many of the associations would build housing for their employees.
mhm.
But in this case, in this area, the only one that you know was for the braceros,
Yeah. mhm.
and not for
Not for locals. Just-
local
yeah,
people?
mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
What sort of housing was it? Were they in actual buildings?
Yes,
Or?
uh-huh.
Okay,
Yeah.
not tents or
No,
anything?
no, it was intense.
Okay.
And what kind of, did they have a general store at these camps, Gloria, where people
Yes,
could buy?
they did. That's where they met Rafael. He was the one that took care of that.
uh, What kind of store did they have?
Oh, they had like for the shaving, cigars, everything, and then he would make money orders and all that.
Yeah, and what about clothing?
Usually they would have, but once in a while somebody didn't, and they would have some there.
About cigarettes and
So,
candy?
yeah, all that, yeah.
Okay, gum,
Yes.
like a little general,
Yeah, like a little
tiendita?
store, yeah.
Like a
Mhm,
little
yeah.
tiendita? Yeah.
Mhm.
And so anyway, but as far as you know, the association or the ranchers
Mhm.
did not provide in the local area do not provide housing
No,
for
uh-uh.
our local pickers?
No,
Yeah. So our local pickers were from Colton,
yeah,
residents
they
of
have their own
Colton?
transportations.
And they had their own houses,
Yeah.
and they had their own families here.
Yes.
Now, how long was the contract for the braceros? Did they stay here the full 10 months? Or did they stay here, because you said the harvest went for 10 months?
Yeah.
From January to
Mhm,
October.
yeah.
Um, Were they allowed to go home and come back, or they
No,
just
if
stayed
they
here?
went home, they wouldn't come back.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If when they stayed here,
Mhm.
and there was no work during those 2 months, what did they do?
Well, they would just stay there. I mean, they wouldn't do anything.
Mhm.
Because from where they were, it's East Highland, it was kind of far to go to town.
Mhm.
You know, unless they had a car or somebody had a car. Usually sometimes ladies would come and pick them up.
Oh, okay,
You
so
know, to
they,
take them to town or something.
oh, so they had entertainment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, would they go to town or, and visit the local happenings in Colton, in San Bruno, Redlands,
Uh-huh,
or in
yes.
Colton?
Mhm.
Yeah. Did any of them that you know of, did any of those braceros stay in the area and married our local girls?
Yes.
You,
Mhm.
really?
Mhm.
Really?
Yeah. Mhm.
A lot of them, or a few of them?
What I know of, well, the ones I knew, I think there were about 5 that stayed and they married.
Ah,
Yeah.
and did they live in Colton, or
Redlands mostly.
mostly Redlands?
Mhm, yeah.
And by staying here, by marrying here, they stayed here and
Mhm.
had their families?
Yeah, and got their visas.
Ah, so it's a
Yeah.
good way for them to become
Yeah.
part of our
Mhm.
society. Yeah. So I would imagine that the orange industry, like you said, how many packing houses did you have?
12.
12? And from those packing houses, Gloria, not only did we have jobs for people that were foremen
Mhm.
and people that worked in the office, the association, and how many people worked in the office? Yourself and how many
I
others?
think we were 4 or 5 that worked in the office. And then we had Mr. Garcia, that was our boss.
Okay, boss in what respect?
The boss of the office. Yeah.
Of the office?
Mhm.
Okay, and from there, then you would have the different packing houses.
Mhm, yes.
And you said how many packing houses?
12.
12 packing
Mhm.
houses? And the packing houses, who do they employ?
For their office?
No, for their
For what?
operation of, you know, the oranges would come from the field,
Yeah,
they would go to the packing house,
packers, they had packers.
packers.
They would sort out the oranges.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and they had people that would pack them.
Mm-hmm. Were these generally female that work in the packing house?
No,
or
it
were
was
they
both men and
male
women.
female?
Yes, uh-huh.
Uh-huh. And were they on an assembly line? or-
Yes.
Okay,
Mhm. Yeah.
okay. And then after they, and do you have an idea how many people were working at the packing houses?
Mm,
Más o menos?
I would say about 15.
15? And then after they graded the oranges, and after they packed the oranges to be shipped, you had another crew of people that would ship them or take them down to the railroad,
The trucks would come for them.
or the trucks would
Yeah.
come for
Mhm.
them,
Mhm.
and then they would ship them out
Wherever they were.
wherever
to
they
go.
were going,
Uh-huh,
where they
yes.
were going.
Mhm.
So it's a big operation.
Yes.
Huge
It was.
operation, lots of jobs,
Mhm.
lots of jobs.
Yeah.
And what about in the association? Did they have people that would sell the oranges to different places around the country? For example, a juicer,
Mhm.
somebody that would make juices?
Yes. Yeah.
Or somebody that would sell to the grocery stores, sell the oranges to the grocery
Mhm.
stores?
No, not to the store, but I know a juice company or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I remember, now who did those labels? Did the association do those
Yeah,
labels?
they had, yeah. Mhm.
They have an artist that did those labels?
Mhm.
Yeah. And the artist would advertise oranges from California
Yes.
and also the place
Mhm.
where they would pick these wonderful, delicious
Yeah.
oranges.
Mhm.
Yeah. So how many artists did you have? Did you have one or two?
I don't know, tell you
No?
the truth, they worked in the packing house, so,
They work in the packing
Mhm.
houses? All right.
yeah.
And what else can I ask you about the orange industry? You know, first of all, a lot of people were employed by them.
Yes, they were.
Secondly, we were I would imagine back in the early 1900s and up to the 60s that we were the major producers of oranges in the world.
Mhm.
Yeah. Did you ever
Yes.
hear that?
Yes.
¿Qué te decían? How
Oh.
would they brag about that?
Well, they talk about it in the office, the boss would, yeah.
What would they say?
He would say that, that they were, well, packing houses would delight that we were doing all the work, and that, as long as there were oranges, we would work. We would be working, but if ever the orange crop wouldn't come up, that was it,
Yeah. So when the industry started, everybody thought that the industry or the oranges would last forever and ever.
Yes.
And that's why they decided to put in a lot of investment into it, ¿verdad?
Yes. Mhm.
Because you also had the people the keepers of the orchards,
Mhm.
people that worked year round taking care of the orchards.
Mhm.
What about when it got cold, Gloria?
They
When it
would
got
get-
cold?
Yeah,
and,
they would have to go out and light the.
smudge pots?
Yeah.
Smudge
Mhm.
pots?
Yeah.
And what months were those? Were they in November, December? or
Around
Jan-
there, I think,
Yeah.
November, December,
And why did they have to keep the oranges at a certain temperature?
so they wouldn't go bad.
So they wouldn't freeze and
Mhm,
go
yeah,
bad?
mhm.
Okay. And did they employ a lot of people to go out there early in the morning and?
Well,
and-
usually it would be the foreman, they would call the foremen, and they would take some of their pickers to help.
Well, like your uncle would be called,
Yeah.
listen, we need somebody to go to X Ranch,
Mhm.
the Henry Ranch, and
Mhm.
kind of light
Yeah.
up the
Pots.
pots.
Mhm.
And how early would they start doing that in the
Uh,
morning?
Well, they would go around 3 o'clock.
That they would
in the morning.
be done by what time?
Well, most of them, they would light them up, and then they would come home they went at 3, they would come home around 6.
Mm-hmm. So has it got 3-4 hours
Yeah,
at
mhm,
half
they had to
daytime?
light all the ones in the grove,
Half daytime.
especially if
Now-
the grove was large.
And how would they get paid? I know they couldn't get paid by the box, but how would they get paid for being part of
They
the
would-
smudging crew?
They would pay them by the hour, how many hours they did, and we would make out the checks.
Okay.
Yeah, they would give us a list of who went out. Because usually the foreman would just put it with their checks.
And how much would they get paid for that?
For that, I think they got paid more or less, I'm not too sure. Could be, they had to go out 3 times, could be $60. I'm not too sure about that.
$60?
Yeah, they went out
$60?
3, or it depends, how many days they went out.
Or
Mhm.
maybe 3 days, they get $60, or about $20
Yeah. Mhm.
a session?
Yeah.
Well, Gloria, it seems that your uncle was one of the main foremen
Mhm.
in the orange industry for Colton.
Yes.
And he influenced a lot of people that lived in Colton by giving them all jobs,
Mhm.
by giving them almost year-round jobs, or
Yes,
not, steady jobs where they could make kind of a livable wage,
Mhm.
where they could pay their rent or buy a house
Mhm.
or put grocery on the table
Yes.
and then take care of their families.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a good summation of
Yes.
what your uncle did?
Yes.
Yeah, because your uncle was very popular.
Mhm. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, what made him popular?
Hmm?
What made him popular?
I don't know, like he would be home and his pickers would go and sit with them and they would talk and that, he would have my aunt make food for them, and, well, they always came over, the ones that were there would go and say, this Castillo did this and that, and they would go.
So your uncle would have his house open to everybody and anybody, eh?
Yeah, and he would help them out if they needed some money or something.
Or was he generous to them?
Oh, yes, Uncle was.
Yeah, if they were hurting or needed an advance,
Yeah,
he'd
he
give them
would.
an advance?
Mhm, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So he would take care of his workers then?
Yes, he would.
Yeah, and they were very loyal to him then?
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah. So your uncle's house became a center for many of the orange pickers from South Colton.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And he influenced many of them. Now, he lived on the corner, almost the corner of L and 7th Street.
Mhm. Yeah.
¿Verdad? L and 7th Street. Was he in any way connected with the church? Because the church was just across the street.
No,
No?
not my uncle.
No?
My aunt, she went to church right there. My
Your aunt
uncle.
was very religious. then?
Yes.
Yeah. But he
Mhm.
took care of business and made sure that he had work.
Mhm.
Was he involved in any other business besides being a contractor for the oranges? Did he?
No.
He didn't.
He
He was
didn't.
always in.
Yes. No?
For how many years? How many years do you think he was a contractor?
I can,
When was he born?
1906.
1906?
No, wait, 1905.
1905?
Mhm.
And then, and you were born in, like I was, maybe 1939 or so?
39.
And he was already a contractor?
Mhm.
Oh, so he was
For quite a while.
a citrus person for a
Yes.
very, very long
Mhm.
time.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, I would also like to talk about you. You grew up where, in what part of Colton?
On L Street.
L?
7th and L.
7th and L?
Mhm.
That's where you have many of the activities there on
Oh,
7th
yeah.
Street.
Mhm.
You had the church there,
Mhm.
and then also you had the grocery stores.
Yes.
You had the restaurants there.
Mhm.
You had the panaderia there. And your aunt, or your grandma, was it your grandma Lola?
Mhm.
She had the tortilleria?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Tell me about, how did you get started establishing a tortilleria there in South Colton?
Well, my aunt, her daughter, decided, because my grandma wanted to do something, she wanted, and she told her that maybe, she would open a tortilleria or something, that would help, her. And like it was family, so all, like my mom, my aunts, and everybody knew how to make tortillas. So my aunt said, okay, we'll try it. And it was good for quite a long time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you remember how old were you when they started the tortilla?
I think I was about 5.
So the early 1940s,
Mhm.
when you started tortilleria.
Mhm.
And besides who made the tortillas, Gloria?
My mom, my 2 aunts, my 3 aunts, and my mom. They
Mhm.
make the corn tortillas like they do like that.
See?
Yeah. I could never do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they make the tortillas.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And besides tortillas, what else did they?
They